The question for the day is, what is your lever? What is that one thing that gets you into action, not only consistently, but in those times where you're negotiating with yourself not to do something, trying to talk yourself out of it, trying to reason. Good morning, it is John Cheplak coming to you at about 2:27 a.m. Pacific Standard Time from Las Vegas. I just wrapped up a workout, as you can tell from my breathing, and gonna get on to my day here. But I was thinking about last night. I came down here to the gym after a long day, and I actually sat in my truck and started negotiating and thought, hey, I've been working really hard and had a really good day and I'm eating good, and maybe I just need some rest. And then I fell back on my theme for 2020. My personal theme for 2020 is rest. And finding that if I rest properly, I can show up at a higher level. I can deliver at a higher level, and it's worked out really well for me. Well, everything has its duality. Then I can say, well, I need some rest. And for me, here's what I want to suggest as the one lever. It's not your willpower. It's not your goals. It's not your commitments. All those things are great. Your affirmations. I want you to write this down, really think about it. It's your pride. And your pride works for you or it can work against you. Let's think about lack of action. Let's think about when we don't take action. Our pride can many times get in the way because anything that has to do with growth has to do with doing something different, doing something outside of our comfort zone. We have the risk of failing or falling down or being awkward in it, not fitting in, which is our number one objective as human beings. We want to fit in, we want to be accepted. And so that's where your pride can work against you. Again, let me bring this back around. We think that our big goals and our big commitments and affirmations and keeping those things in front of us are the things going to take us to keep us into action. Well, as I was sitting there in my truck in the parking lot at the gym, I tell myself this, and I have to negotiate. People think I'm some gym rat and I love the gym. I can't stand it, to be really frank. I don't know, that's a little bit extreme. There's a lot of things I'd rather be doing than be at the gym. There's a ton of things I'd rather be doing. There's a doorway I have to walk through just because some principles I believe in. So I'm sitting there and negotiating with myself last night, and I asked myself this question. This is my one lever, and this is where pride can work for you. I've had the many years of where pride worked against me. I didn't want to fail. I didn't want to look good. I wanted to do just enough to look good and maybe even pretend at times, and that sure bit me in the ass for many, many years. But then I came to discover this one thing. There's a couple things that I say to myself internally. I'm not a big guy of writing down goals and doing affirmations and things like that. And I'm not saying it's good, it's bad. So, find what works for you. And all I share are the things that work for me. And may not work for you, but it's something for you to consider. So I think about pride. And so as I'm sitting there in that parking lot last night in my truck, and I've got all the great reasons. Oh, I'm 53 years old. Listen, here's the squirrels that go inside my head. I'm 53 years old. I'm in better shape than 90% of people in my age group. And I worked out enough and I need rest and all this crap. And then I always say one thing to myself, a couple things I say to myself. If the people that I lead, the people that I get an opportunity to work with, the people that trust in me for discipline, commitment, guidance, etc., if they heard the conversation, see, that's where I want you to challenge yourself. Number one, if the people that I'm leading, the people that I'm around, if they can hear the conversations going on inside my head, that's one. But here is the second one. The second one is this, to ask yourself this, am I being, and this is the tough one, am I being what I represent? Am I being what I represent all the time? So, whether it's a representation to the people that you lead, it's a representation to the people you interact with in business. You may be a great salesperson and put on a great sales presentation. You may think people don't care about who you are personally. I got news for you. People really do care, because you've seen many people when they've fallen from grace in personal situations, the people they've worked, they've moved away from them. And so people do care more than ever, the whole human yard. Now, this isn't the mantra, and I don't share because John Cheplak has it figured out. I share actually because I have a lot more work to do than anyone else. I share because I'm constantly studying it and reflecting and staying in this consciousness of what moves me through the doorways that I need to move through. So the big question to ask yourself, when you're sitting there in the parking lot yesterday, just like last night too, I had to get that boundary. I had to go to bed at 6:30 a.m. so the alarm clock would go off at 1 a.m. and I'm in here in the gym at 1:25 a.m. and now I'm wrapped up. Quick session, went at it, got intense. Am I acting as I represent? Am I taking the action steps that I represent? Because here's what we do know. If you pull back the curtain in a lot of situations, a lot of people aren't. I take a look at a leadership. A lot of leadership will say, I can't believe my people aren't doing this. I can't believe my people aren't doing that. And I said, well, here's what we need to do is we need to take a look at the mirror. Take the mirror that's sitting at waist level and pull it up to eye level. The number one thing I know, no matter what, not that I get it right all the time and I have to be reminded all the time, is whenever I'm experiencing something outside of me that isn't working for me, that doesn't feel right for me, or things just aren't in alignment or working the way that I want them to or hope they would, it's me. It's nothing but me. And until we can get that ruthless personal responsibility, we're going to be a bumper car in life. We're going to be subject to the things that are around us versus creating the experiences that we want to have. And so, for me, pride, and I hope for you, it's pride. Pride is doing one of two things for you. Well, it could be doing three things. It could be keeping you stagnant because you're just playing safe and paying no attention to it. But I think typically what's happening, there's a duality in everything. So your pride is either keeping you from taking action because you're afraid of what it's going to look like, okay? And recognize it. Don't judge it, just see it. The first step of anything is just recognizing, what is the obstruction, what's getting in the way, what's holding me back, okay? The second step is seeing the opportunity in it. What's the opportunity in pride? Okay, well, my pride is intact in the way that, I represent, speak to, discipline, commitment, consistency. It's real easy when you sit in the car in the parking lot before you're going to the gym, or you're looking at your gym clothes back at home and you're thinking about going to the gym, and you ask yourself the question, okay, am I making a choice that is in alignment to and represents what I say I am? And it's really challenging for everyone because, especially with the social media thing, here's what can happen with social media is, and you watch it happen a ton with people, and bless their hearts, they're on a new 30-day challenge every 30 days. And I can tell you a big part of the reason these 30-day challenges don't work out for people is what happens is they make this declaration on social media. They tell everyone, they get all of this acknowledgement and excitement around them, and it satisfies the ego. They get that dopamine, rush. It satisfies the ego, and it's like, the ego was fed. I'm good to go. And then they just kind of coast off, and then they find 30 days later, they didn't do anything. They didn't even make an attempt to it, okay? Because what they're not doing is they're not asking themselves the question, am I taking the action steps? Am I making the decisions? Am I walking through the doorways that align to what I say and represent I am? Ask yourself that. The next time you're falling short on your goals or your commitments or anything, look in the mirror and ask yourself, let's bring pride into this thing. Let's bring pride and stand on your pride. Have your pride carry you through. What am I representing I am? And do the action steps that I'm taking align to what I represent I am? Stand in your pride. Be who you say you are. When you're not, acknowledge it and recommit. Have an awesome day. I'm on to mine. See you later.